What's going on, guys? Gabe with ReviewDork. It is 9:13 a.m. on Friday, and we see some price action here, 61.82. Yes, that's a win for the apes. We go ahead and we look at Vortex data here. We see that short interest is down, and current short interest of the free float is 13.62%. This is still relatively high. Again, it's all about mathematics. It's not necessarily how high the short interest is. It's whether that short interest can fit back into the free float when it's bought back. So with this here, we know we're in good shape. Also, for those who want to bring in the failure to delivers and the synthetic shares, this number for some, and at least for me, should be taken with a grain of salt because it could be 3, 4, 5 times higher than this. So again, guys, just keep that in mind. Now, when we go to Stockholm Tracker, well, we could see currently we have 445,000 calls in the money expiry. Now, if we reach $65, we add an additional 50,000 calls, and currently there are about 300,000 shares available to borrow. Let's talk about this because today is a critical day. It is quad witching day, but I want to talk about a video that I came across, Ken Griffen talking about Quant Technology and how they use artificial intelligence to speculate and sort of predict the market based on human behavior. But the most critical component to human behavior is fear. And guys, fear is pretty much all around us. Whether you are pre-ordering an iPhone because you fear not being able to get your hands on one, that's a marketing tactic. Life insurance, another fear. A couple of months back, I had a life insurance agent say, hey, why don't you get a life insurance policy? After all, would your son be able to sustain your lifestyle if you're not here? Fear is a very motivating factor. It is in fact programmed into our operating system since the beginning of time, since we had to ask ourselves the binary question of, can I eat it or can it eat me? And now, when we apply that to the stock market, we have those same binary questions. Will I make money or will I lose money? And for the most part, when we look at the charts are designed to influence, right? The charts are designed to make you fear all the time. It doesn't matter if you're up 500%. There's always that fear of loss, right? It's always that fear of, well, what if I get in now? Will I lose money? I get that question all the time. Gabe, could I get in now? And again, people are asking from a position of fear. Fear is probably the most human, most powerful, most influential component to our existence. No one makes decisions being happy. If you're happy, it means you're comfortable. If you're comfortable, means you're complacent. If you're complacent, means you're lazy. Innovation doesn't happen in a world of happiness. Innovation happens in a world of fear. What I've done in several of my videos was encourage you guys to change your line style to the Heikin-Ashi as opposed to the standard candle. Why? Because the standard candle gives you that sense of fear. Let's go ahead and look at this big red candle in pre-market that you see right here. But when we go ahead and we change the line style, you can see it's smoothed out. And in fact, that red candle just turned green. So it's comforting, right? Now let's go ahead and cut to the clip of Ken Griffen talking about how he uses AI and fear to anticipate human behavior.
There's an understanding that many dynamics of how humans behave can be, in a sense, taken advantage of by technology. If we know how humans behave and we can predict that, we can use that to better position our portfolios.
Today is one of those days where some of us are scared. Me personally, I'm not scared. I'll go ahead and share a story with you. Some of you may be in the sales industry, and fear is actually the most powerful tool in sales. I'll give you guys a great example. Last year, COVID just started, and Central Florida had delivery of 2 C8 Corvettes. And I just happened to be lucky to get one of them. And in the back of my mind, I was prepared to put $40,000 towards the car. We get to the dealership, and Applejacks is my witness. Initially, they asked me how much you're going to put down. I said $10,000. Obviously, I didn't want a large payment. Then they come back, they're like, hey, can you put 15,000? I'm like, okay, yeah. Now my magic number is 45,000, but sure. Then they come back and they say, well, can you put 20,000? And I'm like, why? They're like, well, to make sure you get approved by the lenders, to make sure, you really want this car, right? You want to make sure that you let the lenders know how bad you want this car. At that point, I knew they were just full of shit because I have trade lines, multiple trade lines in excess of 100,000. So I knew that the salesman at that point was fear mongering. He wanted to see how much money I would put on the table, because the more money I put on the table, of course, the more they profit. I initially was like, okay, do I want this car? And I remember asking Applejack, like, should I get this car? Should we leave? Applejack, you remember that, right?
I definitely remember that.
I'm like, should we leave? And then they came back with 25,000. And that's when I told him, I was like, listen, if you can't do the deal with 25,000, I'm leaving. So now we reverse that fear because obviously my magic number is 45,000, but I wasn't going to allow them to extract that value from me using fear. Now I flipped it and the fear's on them. The fear of losing the sale, the fear of losing time. The salesman now has fear of, okay, I lose the sale. We are currently in COVID pandemic. Who's going to buy this car right now? But you got a guy sitting at your desk right now who wants to buy. You guys got to understand that fear is all around you. And when you look at the stock market is built upon fear. And what Ken does, and Ken Griffen and Citadel, what they do is they have far-reaching branches, right? The media, et cetera, et cetera. And what they're doing is fear-mongering. They're probing. And what their artificial intelligence is doing is seeing the reaction, the human behavior, the reaction, how that affects the chart. It's not just Citadel that we're fighting against. It's not just the hedgies we're fighting against. We're actually fighting against the analytics that are plotted against us as they compile their data. We are fighting against the machine. Ladies and gentlemen, you're fucking Neo in the Matrix. What's the best way to deal with it? Close your laptop, turn off your phone, walk away, and do not let fear induce impulse. I want you to look around you. I'm sure you have a network in your network of friends. You have that one guy, uber successful, and he frankly doesn't give a shit. Some of the most successful people in the world have one thing in common. They don't have fear in losing. Losing is just part of the lesson. So, when we look at the chart and on the dailies, we see it go up, we see it go down, we see some red days, we see some green days, but we're not fearing that movement. That's what Citadel and Ken Griffen are banking on. And guess what? It's making them a crap load of money. So turn off your fear. It's time to make a crap load of money for yourself. This is Gabe. I'm signing out. Peace.